must you collect, you think, to deem a place to be haunted or supervised by an intelligent entity? Some places may be experiencing just residual energy, but not actually an intelligent haunting.
Well, whether or not you think a place is haunted is a relative term.
Yeah.
You know, you could put 18 people in a room and describe an event, and 4 may think it's haunted activity, and 4 may think it's something of the mundane nature, and 4 may not know what the heck it is. And so that's a very relative term, and I think you're really only ever satisfying yourself. For believers, the most insignificant amount of evidence can often make them say, "Oh yeah, it's haunted." And for non-believers, I think that you could probably wheel in a wheelbarrow full of evidence, and they still go, "Yeah, you faked it." You know, it's one of those kind of relative things. So you're only really out to satisfy yourself, and for us, it's a reasonable amount. The key is persistence. If you go to a place one time and one thing happens, and you don't catch anything else, you might have to second guess it, But if you go to a place 4 times and there's persistent activity, like, we've gone 4 times, we've caught 4 things. Octagon Hall in Kentucky is a great example. They experience a lot of ghost groups go there because they're a museum and they need funds, and this is a great way for them to raise funds. They get so much activity reported that they can actually pick the voices out. They get the little girl so many times, they know this is Mary, the little girl Mary. They get this individual voice so many times. They've got to where they can recognize ghost voices. So it's more about satisfying your own criteria. And for us, it's always just been about being reasonable and persistent activity that's going on. Now, as far as being intelligent versus residual, most places are residual. I mean, it seems that most EVPs and things that you get, they're sort of saying their own thing. It's very rare to get good intelligent stuff. Now, like the clip that was caught here, like it was us. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the indicator that when you have an intelligent haunting, because if you can ask a question and you get an actual direct response to that question, and it makes sense now, and it can't be once, you got to do it a few times, because sometimes it could just be coincidence that the words said sort of fit that situation or that particular question. But if you're asking, are you a man or a woman? Woman. Where are you from? Chicago. If you're getting intelligent responses, you've got an intelligent haunting. And those sort of have to be treated in a different way than the residual stuff, because now you have, depending on your religious stance and things like that, you have to wonder, should we be trying to help this individual leave? Are they trapped, or are they happy here? And if they're intelligent, hopefully they can answer those questions and that sort of thing. But sometimes no. Sometimes they're sort of in denial, paranormal denial. They don't even believe they're dead. So you just have to kind of go ghost to ghost on that. But the sign of intelligence is obviously that it's not only interacting with you, but actually directly answering questions posed and doing things on cue.
You consider the personal experiences of investigators as well as evidence behind?
For us within the group, yes, because I trust my co-investigators. If they tell me something happened, then it happened. Do I give that as evidence to a client? No. We tell them about it, but we know that to a third person that hasn't spent X amount of years with us to get to know us, to them this is just another person telling a tale. So it's evidence in the sense that we know that it happened, but it's not necessarily evidence that you can pass on to a client. You have to have more tangible audio, video, photographs, environmental data, which often gets overlooked. If you have a controlled environment, which most homes do, you set your thermostat for 72. It stays reasonably close to 72. That's why the air kicks on and off and that sort of thing. And if you have a spot in one room that's inexplicably 60 all the time, there's no drafts, then you may have something. So, no, evidence is also sort of a relative term. It's for some people, a knock can be evidence. For others, an entire video clip of a ghost crossing the room and going through the door, there's a car going by. So again, you know, it's sort of a relative term, but reasonable.
What are your favorite tools to use in your investigations?
Our favorite tools is ourselves. Because, you know, you can rely a lot on electronic gadgets and cameras and audio recorders and things like that, but nothing beats walking into a good location and before you've ever even opened up a single gearbox or anything, you know, before you start digging into your toys, just sit down, turn off the lights, watch and listen. And in the ghost hunting world, they often call that a vigil, performing a vigil. You know, just sit still and get a feel for the place. And you'd be surprised. I mean, a lot of times if you just be quiet and just observe, you'll notice some sounds coming from certain rooms, but not just the paranormal stuff. You'll hear the ice maker kicking on in certain rooms, so you won't mistake that for knocks on the walls. You'll hear, you know, the heater in a certain location, or the boiler, or the water heater, or something of that sort. So it really helps you to be an observant investigator. And so many people are so anxious to get to the EVP questions and things like that they sort of overlook the obvious, which is just yourself. You're the best tool. Your ability to observe what's going on and to react to it is going to have as much to do with you zeroing in on the paranormal activity as any EMF detector is going to do.